It's time for the Kim Hammer Show, where you'll learn how your state government affects you, your family, and community. Here's Kim Hammer.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to the Kim Hammer Show. Thanks for joining me. It might sound a little bit different for a few minutes. Thanks to modern technology, I'm having to call in because of some issues on the interstate trying to get in, and just, my big pet peeve is people that don't know how to drive in the slow lane, and instead they're driving in the fast lane. But anyway, on the show today, and we've got Rhonda Sanders, who is the director of the food bank here in Central Arkansas. And then in a little bit, going to be joined by Shane Knight. I'll let him introduce himself, but hopefully be joined with Senator Ben Gilmore. Going to talk about a program that they've gotten started and gotten underway, dealing with the disposal of used tires, a real menace here in the state of Arkansas, as many other states, but they've worked out an arrangement where it's going to be beneficial to help dispose of the used tires and also use them in a positive way that can help with the increase of energy supply. So they'll be joining me here in a little bit. Just want to remind you, if you want to go up to the KimHammerShow.com, you can get a replay of this, or it's out on all the podcast platforms. You can pick it up on that, share it with your friends if you'd like, and just kind of help promote the show. But Rhonda, thank you for joining me on the Kim Hammer Show today. And I know you are right down in the middle of the Bryant Air Show this weekend as well, aren't you?
Yes, sir. The Wings Over Bryant Air Show is rocking and rolling, and we've got lots of stuff for people to do. So love to see everyone.
One of the things that you're having to deal with is the heat that's going on. So have you had any issues with people getting sick, or you got plenty of cooling tents and things such as that?
Well, we do have some wonderful things. One, we have one tent that is totally air conditioned, and it's for people to come in and out of and do just that, cool down. And we also have a misting tent. So there are lots of options for you to come out. If you get a little overheated, there are places for you to go. So don't be afraid of the heat. Come on out and enjoy the fun.
Now, what time does it finish up today?
It finishes up at 3:30 to 4 is when it is finished. The last show, I think, comes on around 3 o'clock.
Okay. Well, people still have a little bit of time. You're down in the Bryan area. It'd be great to go by. I know the show was great last night, and a lot of people out, which is good because people are looking for things to do. So that's a great thing. Talk about the food banks, if you will. You're the director, president of the Central Arkansas Food Bank, but the food bank is bigger than just the one here in Central Arkansas. Give the people an idea of the footprint that the food banks cover.
Yes, sir. The Feeding America affiliated food banks in Arkansas, there's 6 of us. The one that I operate covers 33 counties in Central and Southeast Arkansas, goes all the way down to El Dorado. You can go over to Texarkana, and Harvest Regional Food Bank is there. Covers, I think, about 9 counties, goes over to Magnolia, goes up into Sevier and Howard County. Then you go on over to Fort Smith, and there's River Valley Regional Food Bank, and they cover 7 or 8 counties right there. Then Vera and Sebastian go over to Logan and Johnson counties. Up in the northwest corner of the state, there's Northwest Arkansas Food Bank, and they cover the 4 counties right up there in that corner. North Central Arkansas is in Mountain Home, and they cover those mountainous areas from the city of Mountain Home, Norfolk, go up to Baxter and Fulton counties and those areas, and then you swing on around to Jonesboro. And Northeast Arkansas Food Bank is there, and it covers those 11 counties in that northeast corner of the state. And we all work together. We really do. We purchase food together. We share ideas. We talk once a week together. So we're truly partners to make sure that all of the counties in the state are covered.
Now, recently you just received a big grant from the state of Arkansas, and that will be distributed among all of the food banks. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We were able to gain some wonderful support for an emergency program that will operate this summer and end the end of September, and it will allow all the food banks to purchase food boxes over these next 3 months and serve children, families with children, which is very exciting during the summer months when those kids aren't able to be in school. And with the high price of food right now, just really a blessing to the families we serve.
Yeah, you talk about the high-priced food. Of course, we know what inflation is doing. Thanks, Joe. What inflation is doing as far as the cost of fuel, and then add the cost of food. I mean, just for a family that is kind of keeping all the ends tied together, even though they're losing $450 now, I think is the average due to inflation. Thanks, Joe. Out of their household budget, by the time you pay the additional price for gas and the food, so adding to the food insecurity that was already there, I can't help but think that it's already, or that it's greater now than it was before. Because when you got to pick between food, gas in the car to go to work, or electricity, just the essentials of life. So have you seen an uptick in the demand through the food banks and through the various programs that they've put out, or is it holding about the same?
Actually, we are seeing an uptick. I was just talking to one of our staff members last week who does our mobile distributions. That's where we go out into the community and we have the boxes set up in communities and serve people. And he was saying for the first time, really, since the end of when the pandemic began to slow down, he was starting to see new families, and it was very similar to at the beginning of the pandemic. It was people who were actually apologizing for being there, who had never had to get food or get help before.
So as far as how you get your food, and that's one thing I did want people to understand, because I know that, with logistics, food transportation cost, tell people about how it is that you gather your food or where you get your food from, and what kind of shortages or walls are you up against, given the fact that even in some of the stores, it's the supply chain issue is just a real challenge right now. Talk about it a little bit.
Yes. Typically, 80% of our food that comes to us is donated, which means someone somewhere has either not sold it on the retail shelf, a producer maybe did an overrun that they need to move out, something on the printing is wrong. Some of them are just gracious and want to give some of their overruns. We've drastically seen that decline for us. Most of the food that is in the system is being sold. Your grocery stores are empty. People are, distributors and producers are moving it out and it's being sold. So we've seen that really drop, which now means we have to supplement that with purchasing food. And that puts us right into the ball game of what you have with Hart, Edwards, Kroger's, Walmart, any other retail outlet that is purchasing it. So we are trying to get that same product from producers and get it into our shop, get it to where we can give it out to folks. So it is a challenge right now.
So what are some of the organizations that you work through? I know you work with the schools as far as getting the food out. There are food banks, or not food banks, but there are food pantries that are set up around, state. We've got one in our church, for example, and I know there are various ones around there. But as far as who's taking advantage of the food bank, and if somebody wanted to take advantage of the food bank that maybe in their area they don't have an arrangement worked out with you, how would that work out, play out, that an organization could get connected with you?
Yes, sir. We have about 450 organizations that we work with in our 33-county footprint that my food bank serves. Out of that, about 320 of them are what we call agencies, like you're referring to as your church, that actually get food, have a place where they store it, box it up, and have people come to their facilities and access the food. The other partners we have are schools, some hospitals, some different groups that we work with that just do mobile distribution. But if someone is interested in helping to feed people, there are a couple of things we're really looking for. One, we're looking for some place where there isn't a pantry. If there isn't a pantry within 2 or 3 miles, we want to talk to you if you're interested. Also, if you're interested in doing something different, like serving clients on Saturday morning or Thursday evening, because there's a whole lot of our population that is working. They're just needing an extra help every few months, to make it through. And we have found that being open at those different hours really does those with access food. But you can get our website, arkansasfoodbank.org. You can look there, and there's a place where it says I want to help, and you can look about becoming a member of the food bank and participating in the pantry.
Are you having trouble getting food? You mentioned that, when food's not being donated, and I've been in your facility a time or two, and you got quite the organization. We'll talk about the layout there in a minute, but I know too that you had mentioned that before you would get produce donated to you, which people may think, food bank, green beans, peas, stuff like that, but you've actually got a huge drive-in freezer over there, and I know the last time we talked that some of the produce that was being donated to you was either coming in late or coming in unusable because of the demand for food. People that otherwise would have been giving it to you sooner are holding it longer because they need it, and to the point that the turnaround time is pretty quick from the time you get it to the time you got to get it out the door. But then if you end up in a situation where you've got to be competitive in purchasing against Walmart or Harps or Edwards or whoever, what challenges are you up against as far as just being able to get the food itself, even if you have to purchase it?
Yes, we the produce that we get from our retail outlet, they are holding it, and there's less of it because they have less of it and people are buying it. So we do acquire a lot of produce from outside of the state, even way down in southern Texas. Our challenge there is trucking it in, getting it to them. What we used to truck in for $3,000, it's costing $4,500 now. So we've seen that price consistently escalate. The other issue is if we want canned goods, dry goods that are staple, macaroni and cheese, green beans, canned corn, we are finding that harder and harder to get. And if we do get it, a truckload that we used to pay $30,000 for is now costing us literally $60,000 on some of the products.
Well, the thing is, you give it away. You don't charge people for it, right?
That's right. We do. The end user is never, ever charged. Our agencies help us out with a small handling fee. Some of the products that we get in for convenience for them, we sell at, right now we offer it to them even below cost. So any of that product is just, we're paying for it and we're getting it out to those agencies. So we have three tiers actually of how we work with our pantries. But 90% of our food actually goes out the door with zero cost on it.
The various programs that you run, you mentioned a while ago, one of them is the backpack program. Talk about the backpack program for just a minute so people get an idea, because that goes directly into the schools and people get an idea how beneficial it is.
Yes, sir. The backpack program is something that everybody is near and dear to people's hearts because it's really targeted to kids who are at home alone on the weekend. Mom and dad maybe are working 2 or 3 jobs, and they're having to go home and kind of fend for themselves. So it is a program that goes directly to the schools. It is really providing a bag of food that would have enough product in it, single serving product, to feed them 3 or 4 meals over the weekend. And it is one that people really do like. The kids enjoy it. And we're just really pleased to serve. I think right now we're serving around 3,300 children in our service area.
The volunteers, I know when, for people that have never been on the food bank, which you guys are over on 65th Street, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
yes, sir.
Yeah. So when you walk in their building, it's really cool. They got of course they got a place to the left, but they got an assembly line, if I remember right, for volunteers. But you walk then straight ahead, and you're actually in the warehouse, and they got the tall warehouse racking, and you got to drive in, and people driving forklifts, but back there in the back is where you have volunteers, organizations that come in and will actually help assemble the boxes go out the door. Talk about that for a minute. Do you I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question, but I take it you need some volunteers, and what would people do if they did want to come in and volunteer? How would you put them to work?
Absolutely, and we really are rebuilding our volunteer base after COVID. Prior to COVID, we were having around 13,000 visits a year from volunteers to come and help us. We've gotten it back up to around 9,000 visits a year, but we really need to get back up to where we were. Because our volunteers, when they come in, they may do a variety of things. They can do everything from label cans. They may be taking rice or cereal or macaroni from a huge tote and putting it into single serving or family size serving bags. They could be sorting retail product that comes into different categories and boxing it up. They can be putting backpacks together, senior boxes, all of those types of things that we do. So we really use them across the board. Oh, and they can be putting produce in the bags because we will get produce in large totes. And we will take it and put it into a bag similar to what you get in the grocery store.
You know, when I was in there, I saw football teams, church teams, you know, just family groups, just individuals coming in there. So really, it's you know, you don't have to be you don't have to be affiliated with a group. There's just opportunities. So if people want to reach out to you in order to either help, which the grant that they received was $5 million. It was from what's referred to as TANF funds, which is money that comes down from the federal government to help poor and needy families that have, you know, meet a certain criteria. And then that $5 million was distributed out over all the food banks proportionate to the populations that they serve. But of course, you have donations that you receive from corporations, individuals, I'm sure trusts, family trusts, that kind of thing. So what would be I mean, give us your contact information if people want to reach out to you, to make a donation or to come up there. And in fact, what I'm going to do, I'll just make you this commitment. I'm going to go back and challenge my church teens to come up there, and we'll come up there one Saturday or whatever time it is that we can work it out, get them to help out. So give us contact information if people want to reach out to you.
Yes, sir. There's a couple of ways you can find us. The easiest way for most will be to go on the website, arkansasfoodbank.org. On that website, you can see there drop down that says, I want to help, and it will offer you ways to help. One of them is volunteering. You can go online and see when the shifts are open and exactly kind of what they will be doing, if anything special, and you can sign up for it. We have volunteer shifts from 9 to noon and 1 to 4 every day. And then we have Tuesdays once a month or family night and 2 Saturdays a month. So there's lots of opportunities, really easy to do it. You can also give online, and for every dollar that someone gives us, we can turn it into enough food for 5 meals. You can do that through our website. But if you're more comfortable picking up the phone and calling, our number is 501-565-8121. And the young lady that answers the phone will be able to direct you if you're wanting to give a donation, a financial donation, or if you're wanting to volunteer, can get you hooked to the right person. And if you want to do a food drive and collect food in your community and bring it up to us, we accept that also.
All right. You've been listening to Rhonda Sanders. She's the director of the Arkansas Foodbank here based in Arkansas on 65th Street. Also, she's a city alderman for Bryant, so she's involved locally at the local level down there in Bryant. And today she's also out at the Bryant Air Show, which you got a few more hours to get out there. I know it's hot, but like she said a while ago, they got a cooling tent, so you can feel free to take advantage of that. Take the kids out there. Really cool air show. Had a really cool air show last night. It's just a great weekend to be out at the Bryant Air Show out at the Bryant Airport. Rhonda, thank you for being on the Kim Hammer Show, and I'll let you get back out there in the 100-degree heat, but take care of yourself, and I appreciate you very much. All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now, we're going to move on to Shane Knight, who'll be joining us, and I think we got Senator Ben Gilmore also on the phone. So, gentlemen, thank you for taking time to join me here on the Kim Hammer Show. And let's start with Shane. Let's start with you. Introduce yourself and the title that you hold, and then Senator Gilmore, we'll get to you after Shane gets his introductions out of the way.
Thank you, Mr. Hammer. I appreciate it. My name is Shane Knight. I am the Deputy Director for the Southeast Arkansas Economic Development District. I oversee surface transportation, railroad, utilities, solid waste, and governmental affairs for the 10-county economic district of Southeast Arkansas.
All right. And Senator Gilmore, give yourself an introduction also geographically. Let the folks know where you are, and go ahead and tell them where you're going to be after the redistricting actually kicks in after the first year, so people have an idea about your geographical area.
Well, perfect, and great to be with you, Kim. Always, thanks for having me on. And Shane, good to be with you as well. Yeah, Senator Ben Gilmore from Southeast Arkansas, and my district currently covers basically the whole southeast corner. That's Deshae and Chico, all the way over to Bradley County, all the way up to Lincoln County, Star City, and all the way down to the Louisiana line. And then after redistricting, it moves over. I have all of Chico, lose Deshae, but go up to Grant County, Jefferson County, but still all the way down to Louisiana line. So quite the sprawling district. But for purposes this morning, I'll say my claim to fame is I'm a colleague of Senator Kim Hammer's.
You're gonna want my vote sometime down the road, I can tell, man. But I appreciate
always,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I want to tell you something. I appreciate Ben Gilmore as well. I'm gonna give a shout out to his brothers too and his dad. Man, they got a great family down there. Your dad is the administrator of which hospital down there?
Ashley County Medical Center.
Yeah, great guy. He did. You got a great dad. Judgment's still out on his three sons. He did the best he could. But you guys are really pretty good. It's a pleasure to serve with Ben down there at the Capitol. So I've got about 2-3 minutes before we got to take a break. So let me just kind of stop for a minute. And Shane, you said the Southeast Development District. People may not know what a development district is. So for 2 or 3 minutes we got before we go to the break, just explain what a development district is. You're not the only one in the state, so talk about it as a whole, not only as it pertains to you, but also as the state. And I'll break in if we have to before we go to the second half of the show.
Oh, absolutely, Kim. Thank you much. Back in the 60s, the federal government was appropriating dollars to go towards the states to assist in the planning and development for growth along the lines of industry, commercial, grants for local communities, community-based grants, grants for water companies, things like that. And in Arkansas, there are 8 planning and development districts. 2 of those 8 held on to their original title of economic development districts. The title does not denote any type of difference in operations. It's just simply a different word in their title. But our mission is to support local communities, and within our 10 counties, we have 16 Class A cities. And we work with all of our communities to locate grants through either Rural Development, Economic Development Administration, Delta Regional Authority, and many other grant opportunities that are out there. And we assist those counties and communities with the grant writing process to help increase their infrastructure, their parks, their water, their fire departments, police departments, and even all the way to sidewalks and other community endeavors. So we serve as a vital role in helping our communities grow. And part of what we do in Southeast Arkansas is we have taken under our wing industrial and commercial development. Southeast Arkansas is part of a consortium that owns a railroad from McGee, Arkansas to Tallulah, Louisiana. And Southeast owns the portion from Lake Village to the Louisiana line. And we are currently undergoing a multi-million-dollar rehabilitation of this freight line. And because of this rehabilitation, Kim, we have seen an increase, and it's been a significant increase in industrial development interest in Southeast Arkansas. So that's part of what we do. And now venturing into that industrial commercial development, we're seeing some tremendous opportunities come available to Southeast Arkansas through the economic district.
All right, and that's one thing I want to talk to you about when we come back, because you do have an economic development item going on that I really wanted to get focused on, dealing with used tires and everything. So we're going to take a break. We come back, let's talk individually about that. And you're listening to the Kim Hammer Show here on 91.1 FM, 101.1 FM, The Answer. And you can go up to my website, which is thekimhammershow.com, and also to all the social media platforms, whether it be Facebook or on the podcast, and get a replay of the show or share it with your friends. And we'll be back in just a minute to the Kim Hammer Show. Welcome back to the Kim Hammer Show. Thank you for joining me today on a Saturday, a hot Saturday at that. You got a few more hours if you want to go out to the Bryant Air Show. They've got some acts still going on this afternoon. Got a lot of activities, especially for the kids. It's and I know it's hot, but they've got a cooling tent out there, and so you'll be able to keep yourself hydrated and cooled out there. But if you got a little time this afternoon, you want to run out there, it's at the Bryant Air Show out at the Saline County Airport there on the backside of Bryant. All right, I've got on the show right now, I've got Shane Knight, who is the director of the Southeast Regional Development Center, or Planning and Development District, and then I've got Senator Ben Gilmore, who represents that area down there. And we were talking about your economic development going on in Southeast Arkansas. Let me just say this first of all. Give me the names of some of the towns, the main towns. Would that be like Magnolia, Monticello, Pine Bluff? Am I missing any, or what are some of the other larger towns down there?
We got Pine Bluff would be your center of population, and then Monticello, and then we go down to Hamburg, cross it. We come as far north as Sheridan, east of the river, Stuttgart, DeWitt, down to Dumas, McGee, Lake Village, and Eudora. So that would just name a few of our outstanding communities there in Southeast Arkansas. And
Senator Gilmore, having gone through redistricting, the population shift in the state, I know that rural Arkansas is suffering a loss of population. In your area, what was the transfer of numbers that occurred in the district you represent, the district you're picking up, or roughly? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was about 10%. So in that there's a variance there, obviously, depending on communities and things of that nature. I'll say this: you're right, Kim. It's Southeast Arkansas has had a rough go of it over the last several decades. But what I like to tell folks is, don't count us out just yet. We still got a lot going on for us. The people here make the difference. As you know, in your district, you've got great folks that care, and they want to be involved, and they want to do things to help. And so that's why I'll take just a second and brag on Shane and his team and Patricia over there, and the work that they do is so vital. They do great work of connecting with local officials and business interests that are interested in coming into the area, but also in just pointing people in the right direction. Look, we have needs of water issues to transportation issues to whatever it might be, and they do a great job of working with everybody involved and making sure that they're getting connected with the right folks and providing the resources as they can that's needed through grants or whatever it is. So Shane does a great job, and that whole team over there, can't say enough good stuff about them.
Well, and Shane's a Saline County boy, just for disclosure. And I'll tell you, one of the things that's neat about this story is
we'll claim him too if he wants to come this way.
Well, he's big enough. You can have half, we can have half. Okay, so there, But the unique thing about this situation is you got, Shane lives up here. He works down there. Senator Gilmore and myself, we represent two totally different areas of the state. When you take a look at the dynamics involved. But yet, what's good for one part of the state is good for the other part of the state, as long as we're all working together as a state. Because I always think about, you got Northeast Arkansas that's really coming along with regards to, Jonesboro development and the steel mill up there, and just the world recognition that is coming to that part of the world because of what's happening there. You got Northwest Arkansas, obviously, that stands for itself. You got Fort Smith over there now, going to have a new medical school, and they got the Fort Chaffee and everything going on there. Here in Central Arkansas, we're picking up the pace a little bit, and then you get on down there in the southern part, like the Southeast, and for the economic development that you guys can pull off together, that we work as a team, because if you guys are doing good, we're doing good. And to that point, what is the newest development that you've got? Because it involves the tires, and that is a huge problem. I don't care if you're in Southeast Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, Benton, Little Rock, whatever. Used tires are a real problem. So you guys talk about that a little bit, because you really work together to champion to make this happen.
Yeah, Senator Gilmore, you want to take the lead, or do you want me to introduce this project?
Well, I'll take this real quick, and I'll let you get more into the details, Shane. But Kim, you're so right. One of the things that I've stressed over the course of being elected, and even before that, when I was working for Congressman Westerman and doing some other things in South Arkansas, was the fact that we have to understand that what we're doing is regional. It has regional impacts, not only just within the state, but in our surrounding states. I mean, we're competing with other states. We're competing globally. And so we have to think with a mindset of working together. And sometimes, Kim, I don't know if you know this or not, sometimes people don't like to work together. So we're having to, in some cases, we're having to help communities that haven't always worked together. Now, it's not the case with this project. I mean, this thing is coming together beautifully, and that's a lot of credit to Shane. But basically, it's a waste-to-energy facility that will consume waste and turn it into electricity. And it sounds like it's way off in the future and futuristic in sort of the way I just described it. But it's pretty simple, and I'll let Shane get into the weeds on it. But it's something that's going to be a real game changer for the state, a game changer for Southeast Arkansas, not only providing jobs, but also addressing a major issue, as you alluded to, Kim, in what do we do with our waste that's filling up our landfills, tires that are a problem, not just in Southeast Arkansas, but even in your district and everywhere else in the state.
Shane?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Senator Gilmore. And what this is, I was approached a little over a year ago by a company out of Lakeland, Florida called MD Power. They have a prototype facility in a small northeastern community in Kentucky called Inez, sits up in the foothills there of the mountains. And what they did, they took an old coal plant and used that technology in the boiler systems and converted it into a synthetic gas producing facility. They take solid waste, municipal solid waste, construction and demolition material, tires, specialty waste, all non-hazard, and they heat it to a temperature that produces synthetic gas. This is not an incinerator. It doesn't burn the trash. It heats the trash. And when it reaches a certain temperature, it will produce a synthetic gas. That gas is then transferred through the system. It is cleaned. It is lit just like you would a natural gas power plant that heats the water, creates the steam, and turns the turbine. This facility in Chico County will produce approximately 15 to 18 megawatts of clean power. And basically, if you want to put that down to a household level, Kim, you're looking at 1 megawatt will power between 700 and 800 homes, depending upon peak performance. And this facility will have the potential to power up to 12,000 homes, and that energy will be put back into the grid. Now, when you compare this technology, which was patented around 2017, it is EPA approved. The Kentucky Department of Environmental Quality has permitted their facility in Inez. Everything crosses the T's and dots the I's. What you're looking at in this green energy movement is this facility does not have to produce anything in order to produce electricity. When it comes to wind power or solar power, you've got to produce windmills. You've got to produce solar panels. You have to extract raw materials. There's mining processes, et cetera, et cetera. This particular technology, this gasification process, you take a product that we already produce on a daily basis, and that is our household garbage, and then you turn it into electricity through that clean process. And like I said, this facility, 15 to 18 megawatts of power. It will consume up to, right now, the minimum, the baseline is 500 tons per day. We could push it up to 750 tons per day, hoping maybe that we can stretch it to 1,000 under the right recipes, if you will, of the mixture going into the kiln. And you're also looking at, for Southeast Arkansas and Chico County, creating 40 to 50 high-paying jobs with benefits, retirement, health insurance, that's tremendous for this type of investment. And I'll share this with you too. As Senator Gilmore, he was a part of some festivities in the early part of June there at Chico County. We have already gotten the attention of another industry that says, I want to locate to Lake Village. ATM Gloves is looking to locate at Lake Village. They have signed a letter of intent to produce latex gloves and other PPE items. And that facility will employ between 200 and 250 individuals there. So right now, between these two projects coming into Lake Village, we're looking at 300 jobs for a community of just a little over 3,000.
Which is huge, and which is what it's all about, because I mean, just my perception, and Ben, you straighten me out if I'm wrong, you can't have too many jobs in the area where you are right now. And so anything that can jumpstart bringing other businesses down to your area has got to be a huge economic boost for the communities that you represent.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you hit it. I mean, anytime we can bring jobs, whether it's 3 or 5 to 100, it's a big deal, and we don't take it lightly, because we know what it means to be in areas that are declining in population. We know what it means to be in areas that don't have all of the don't have everything going for it that maybe your district and Saline County and everything does. So it's a big deal, and this is why we have to, we can't just be on cruise control. We have to be working. And to Shane's credit, he's not one of those guys that just coast on cruise control. He's always looking for the next thing. He's looking for the next opportunity, and that's why, when we look at projects like this, and you see, basically 10 counties come together to help on this project, that's why this stuff works. It's because it's people willing to work together, and you have folks like Shane and his team that will work and bring them all together and get them on the same page. Which, Shane, am I wrong in saying sometimes it's like herding squirrels? When you got a bunch of county judges and mayors and elected officials?
I would agree to that, and I just can't sing Senator Gilmore and Representative Beatty's praises enough either. Their leadership, Kim, in helping us facilitate this. I'll give you an example. To what Senator Gilmore is referring to, we took a field trip, if you will, to Inez, Kentucky, where Senator Gilmore and Representative Howard Beatty, along with Judge Hudson in Ashley County, Judge Aiken in Drew County, Judge Mac Ball in Chico County, and Justice of the Peace Terry McCullough from Chico County. We all went up to Inez, Kentucky, and we spent a couple of days up there to get a hands-on with this technology, to see how it functioned, to see how the facility operated, to meet the founder, the creator of this technology, and visit with his team. And I think when we got back on the plane to come back to Little Rock, we were amazed at how this technology is there and will transform green energy, clean energy, using solid waste as the fuel source. So he's right. It took a lot to get this done, but to Senator Gilmore's point, one unique thing about Southeast Arkansas is we understand that we are all paddling the same boat. And those paddles do not have Democrat or Republican on them. They have Southeast Arkansas. And we understand intimately that we all have to paddle together. We have to paddle in the same direction to get things done. And that is exactly to a T what happened with this project. Was you had both sides of the aisle coming together with Southeast Arkansas on their paddle, and we got it done.
Let me ask you something. How would take it down to the level of, I'm the guy in Arkansas that's got a truckload of used tires that I need to get rid of. How's this, take it upstream, how's that going to benefit me? Because help them understand the process as far as actually, where we're not going to see tires thrown off on the side of the road. We're not going to have our deer camps, inundated with unloaded tires and and the counties aren't going to have the backup, and the tire store is not going to have them sitting on a trailer, out in the back that's overflowing. Take it from the tire to the process so that local Arkansans can understand the benefit of this as it applies to them.
As it applies to tires, Kim, right now in the state of Arkansas, we have 4 tire processors, and anywhere between 45 and 50% of those tires end up in a landfill simply because we do not have an end source, whether it's for recycling or reuse. This facility will require between 15 and 20 tons per day of tires in order for it to operate at optimal level. That means this facility will not turn away any tires, regardless of size, regardless of how old it is, whatever the case may be. This facility will accept all tires, and they are looking to get as many as they can to fulfill that 15 to 20 tons per day that they will need. Now, what they will also do, these tires go into the mix of solid waste to increase the BTU level. When that BTU level is increased, it increases the output of electrical generation. So we'll go from 15 to 18 megawatts by utilizing those tires as the fuel source. The byproduct of this facility is 2 forms. One is the metal. All of the metals come out whole and intact and completely clean. Those become a 100% recyclable resource. We'll partner with the steel industry to move those materials. And the other byproduct is a fly ash. That fly ash will be utilized in either fertilizer or in the concrete industry. And when you apply this particular fly ash, it makes concrete up to 30% stronger. So coupling all of that together, Arkansas will now have a source available to the state that will eliminate the landfilling of tires and provide a 100% recyclable resource for all tires that are generated in the state of Arkansas.
One thing, you mentioned those 2 byproducts, and Senator Gilmore, this is, we have had this discussion around the Capitol. I'm thinking about the plant, that's going to make the PPE materials, and after what we experienced with the COVID outbreak, how dependent we are upon foreign countries for what we regard as essentials, whether it's medicines or the PPE and all that we experience. And I will say, if there was something good that came out of COVID, I think it was a good wake-up call, if nothing else, as to how dependent we have become upon foreign countries, and the fact that, if we're able to get a plant down there that's able to produce like PPEs and the other things they're going to produce, it just makes us less dependent upon those foreign countries. Add to that, if you would, you mentioned fertilizer as a byproduct and the cost of fertilizers. And Ben, I know you represent farmers down in your area. I would hope that would eventually lead to something that would help your farmers, which would just be another spin-off of the benefit of this plant.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I don't see a downside, and I usually approach these things, and Shane, you could probably attest to this. When we first start talking, when you're looking at projects like this, I usually approach it with some sort of a skeptical viewpoint, not in the sense that I don't want it to happen, but in the sense that I want to know on the front end, if there's any potential pitfalls or anything else, what are they going to be? And with this project, I couldn't find one. And so to your question, Kim, or your statement, it's all the above. I mean, there's so many different elements to this that are going to benefit not just my area, but the state in making us more independent, making us a leader in new and emerging green energy and technology, addressing, problems like tire problems and other waste problems, because what people may not realize when they, fill up a garbage bag in their kitchen and take it out to their can and it gets hauled off, they don't think anything else about that. They don't think about where that goes typically. Most people don't. And typically where that goes is to a landfill that fills up. Now, that's fine, well and good. I mean, that's what we've been using. Here's the problem with that. Over time, you develop issues with landfill. You sometimes have methane gas that builds up in there. There's issues that you have to address, or you get fined by the EPA. Thankfully, in the state of Arkansas, we've got a pretty good Department of Environmental Quality that's willing to work with people and help them, and counties and municipalities. But it is becoming more and more expensive to run a landfill than basically it's even feasible to do. Shane, am I right in that, or would you say something different?
Oh no, I think you're spot on 100%. The regulatory requirements to operate what in Arkansas is called a Class 1 municipal landfill are continuing to increase well above 3% CPI. It's when you talk about inflation, you look at the solid waste industry, and to operate these facilities, you're dealing just like with all of us at the grocery store. The prices are going up, and up. And the only way local communities can absorb that through contracts on private companies, or if they're doing it themselves, is to increase rates on weekly trash pickup. This facility, we've been able to negotiate a lot, to Senator Gilmore and Representative Beatty's credit here, a fixed tonnage rate of $45 per ton for the next 30 years. We will review that rate every 5 years in accordance with state law, but it helps our communities in Southeast Arkansas to say, look, we don't have to worry about rates increasing at such a rapid rate like they are now because we're running landfills. So just a little bit of stability from that end really helps local governments deal with their waste issues.
What about the transportation of getting there? I know you guys are working on putting a railroad spur off there, which I think is going to benefit the farmers, if I remember a conversation from a few months ago. Shane, talk about the railroad spur, talk about the cost of the transportation. I got about 4 minutes left, because with the, thanks, Joe, for the rising increased cost of fuel and just any means of transportation, whether it's 18-wheelers, trains, trucks, whatever the case may be, just getting something from spot A to spot B is a challenge.
Senator Gilmore is helping us right now with securing some funds to put in a rail spur at the facility. This rail spur will allow our local rail operator, North Louisiana Arkansas Rail, to assist, whether it's statewide or regionally, the ability to move bulk waste. Take, for example, the farmers when cotton season's over with and all of those bale wraps are sitting at the cotton gin. Well, how do we move that stuff in an economical way to this facility? You put it on rail. That saves the gin operator some expense, and hopefully in saving those expenses, it's passed on to the farmers. One of the other things that we're looking at doing is putting in 2 regional transfer stations in Southeast Arkansas. We're looking right now at Ashley County to put in a large transfer station there to where we can move solid waste by bulk instead of each individual truck having to go to this facility. They'll go to Ashley County within that region, put it in a 53-foot walking floor trailer, and that will transport the waste to the facility, and that will cut down on the expenses as well.
All right, I got about.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ben.
Well, and I was just going to add too, the talking about the transportation and the rail. I mean, that helps Kim getting some of your tires out of Saline County down to this facility. But to go a little bit further, I will say that we've had some really good conversations with the governor, with the governor's staff, regarding this facility and the money needed to invest in this rail spur. And I think the governor gets it. Certainly has supported economic development projects, and I think look forward to his support on this because, again, they understand, he understands the impact of what this means to our state. So anyway, continue that conversation on the investment needed for that rail spur, but I think the governor gets it, and we'll see that moving here shortly. But
got to wrap it up, but a lot of neat things going on, a lot of developments on the curve. There's also a conversion plant, if you would, a refining plant down around the Little Rock, or down around the Arsenal. that's fully permitted. I'm just glad you guys got permitted when you did before the current administration took over, not here, but at the national level, because chances of that happening might not have been there. So kudos to y'all for working so hard. All right, I got to let you guys go. I had Shane Knight on the radio today with the Southeast Development Economic Development Center down there, and also Senator Ben Gilmore, co-league of mine or co-partner of mine in the Senate. Have great appreciation and respect for him and for the exciting things that are going on down there. Let me just make a final comment, and my final comment for the show today would be this. The Democrats are reaping the repercussions of their failed solutions to real-life issues that are crippling Americans. When you take a look at inflation, solutions to inflation could be opening up the oil reserves, not our national reserve, but opening up to drilling again and open up the pipeline. But even as we saw yesterday, President Biden refused to meet with the executives of the oil companies, telling me he's not looking for real solutions. Cities controlled by Democrats with the increasing crime rate, but yet they want to focus on gun control instead of helping the legal citizens who know how to handle them and use them for the right reasons. Assault on law enforcement officers with them being killed and attacked all over our nation. We're not dealing with a mentally unstable president. What we're dealing with is an incompetent president who is surrounded by the enemy within that are evident by the policies that they are trying to enforce in order to destroy this company or this country. Remember that when you get ready to vote this fall, and gear up, because we need to show up in force this fall to vote and to take this country back, the first step to a two-step process that'll finish in 2024. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Kim Hammer Show. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Shane. And also thank you, Rhonda. And you still got a little time to get out to the Brian Ayers Show. Have a great day.